Hello, everybody. My name is Phil Sanko, and I'm coming here from Great Minds here in Denver. And what we are doing today is we have an excellent host. His name is Kevin Gonzalez, and he is going to be sharing some priceless information on how to start building a referral network. And so Jessica is kind of the mastermind and the owner and president of Great Minds. So I'd like her to talk a little bit about Great Minds, and then Kevin, we will move into your information, which I'm really looking forward to. If anybody has any background noise, please feel free to mute yourself. But yeah, Jessica, I'll let you go first.
Okay, awesome. Can you hear me?
I can.
Do I have audio working right now?
Yeah. Sounds good.
Okay, great. So Great Minds is a social group of Denverites, people from Denver, where we basically got frustrated with the way networking is being done in the Denver area. You go out, it's expensive. You walk away kind of feeling like it was more or less a waste of time. You didn't really genuinely connect with anybody. And it's boring. It's boring as hell. Like, you should be learning something and growing as you're networking and meeting all these amazing people. So Great Minds, our whole thing is about attracting and fostering a community of just really ambitious, awesome professionals, business owners, entrepreneurs, people who are trying to do awesome, amazing things and are doing it with a humble and big heart in mind. So with everything that's been happening, we are standing up and practicing what we preach by getting the information out there that we feel are going to really help people during this time. And we're having fun doing it. So I'm really excited to hear what Kevin has to say. And anyone who wants to stay connected with this community and this group, you can go to denvergreatminds.com. That's plural, denvergreatminds.com. And we would love to have you be a part of what we're doing.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks, Jessica. And rather than delay any more information, let's get Kevin on the line. I want to make sure that everybody can hear Kevin. So Kevin, can you unmute I know you're on the phone as well.
Yeah, I'm good on the phone. Y'all can hear me clearly, correct?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you just fine. So go ahead and press that share screen button, and we'll follow along with you.
Awesome. You guys see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, that's fantastic. My name is Kevin Gonzalez. It's a pleasure to be with you guys here today. I'm gonna go ahead and put this on the video so I'm not all insecure as you see in my hair. But welcome. Look, today's very important. Today's very important for you. It's very important for me. What I do have, I believe, is really a diamond. What I mean by a diamond is diamond occurs under pressure. It occurs over time and occurs with pressure. So what I have is I'm sharing with you jewels. These are things that I hold closely to my heart. I think it's very basic. It's very simple, but also it's almost as if you only can achieve this revelation if you've been there. It's very cool. But as we begin, just know I'm going to take questions at the end. You could definitely be on the chat and we'll get to it. But really just zone in, pay attention to the voice that I have, and let's get into this. Hopefully you have some notes because this could really take off. So let's go ahead and start. How can someone see it if they don't know what they are looking for? I know it sounds so simple, but that is so true because you are the one that holds exactly what, the product, the solution, the answer, the cure. You have it, but you have to tell them what the problem is. And the idea is setting expectations before presentations. Most people, I would say novice, people who are beginning, people who are starting in their business, they're kind of quick to jump the gun. they don't necessarily know to set expectations so both parties can come into agreement. It's much like a relationship when you're courting somebody, right? There's certain expectations that are met before you move forward. And the same goes in business, especially with any caliber person, really, but especially when it comes to business. Now, let's continue on. Okay, so the setup, very important. The edification of yourself or leader, the hook and string concept. What are your expectations? Why should they listen to you? We're going to go over the short-term effects, the long-term effects of that. Why are you looking for referrals? What can you give in return? Cast a vision of what you are building. Look, let's start with edification. Edification is absolutely huge. Let me give you a personal example. This picture here, that's my business partner, Celsar Beza. She has over 30 tax offices between Texas and Colorado. We're implementing my services with her services because what I do is I'm in financial services. I'm a broker. But we have a great relationship, and we really gained some ground in the sense of higher level clientele or business meetings and how would you say, having a power over the meeting. Edification can either set you up for them to listen to you or for them not to listen to you. Edification will dictate not only the beginning of the meeting, but the end of the meeting. Edification is what your business is built on. If they don't know who you are and you don't build yourself up, there's no reason why they would listen to you. And I'll give you an example. I'm going to tell you a quick story. So there was a large company, it was called Premier Group, the largest auto insurance company in the country. It's a multi-million-dollar company. We ended up having a meeting with the CEO as well as the CFO, and we were talking about merging all our concepts in one. It was a very cool meeting, very potentially life-changing. And what we did is we really strategically, I had to build her up because she had over 30 tax offices. She has a really good reputation in the Hispanic market. She is our power partner. I'm still coming up in the business. This picture was taken about a year ago. Still coming up in the business. Don't necessarily make $250 a year yet, but getting there. So with that being said, called them, was able to picture her in a good light, have them understand exactly what the meeting's about. They respect that authority. They respect that opinion. And then as soon as we sit down at the table, oh my gosh, it was clean. It was smooth. You would have never known it was over a multi-million-dollar business deal. Now that deal's still on the table, but that stuff takes time, but that's just a good story for you to understand. That could be the start or finish of your meeting. Okay, this is a very good concept, okay? I'm going to give you guys some really, really good jewels here. The hook and the golden string. Okay, so the hook. What I mean by the hook is exactly how you cast them in. When you go fishing, whether it's literally or for people in your business, there has to be a hook. You have to catch their attention. For me, since I'm in financial services, the general public doesn't know how to retire or build a wealth strategy that's absolutely tax-free in distribution, tax-free in growth, tax-free in access. That's a good hook because no matter who you are, if you could avoid taxes, oh my gosh, it helps you a lot. And then with that hook, you have the golden string, okay? The golden string is attached to the hook, and that golden string is their attention span from beginning to end. If you start losing their attention, you start losing the golden string. You start losing the connection to the end, which is the end result. So that's a very good concept, a strong concept for you to grasp as we move forward. Okay, expectations. Now this is, look at these pictures. You got the road trip picture, and then obviously you have the tank. When you go on a road trip, especially with somebody, maybe it's your family, you have a plan. You have expectations. You make sure you have gas in the tank to meet the road trip, to meet the beginning to the end. You have to get to why. If you can't express your business professionally in a compelling way, work on yourself first. Maybe this meeting isn't the right way to go. Trust me, as a novice, I've learned that you're jumping the gun on the meeting when you really don't necessarily know your craft in a way that you know how you can help that person and cast out vision. So the result, clearly express the benefits there are working with you. And that's what I mean by the road trip. If you can set the expectations, if you can give them and clearly express the benefits of this meeting, then they're more likely to connect and ride on the golden string all the way into the end, and they'll at least respect your opinion. Okay, presentations. This is huge. And I mean, this is for all of you, man. I don't care what business you're in. This is the presentation is really, there's the objective part of the presentation, but then there's a spirit part of the presentation. And the presentation needs to be clear. Sometimes you need to ask questions. You got to make sure they understand before you move on. And we're going to go through the whole slide, and then we'll go through questions and we'll break it down individually. But make sure they understand before you move on in a sales presentation. And then there really has to be genuine conviction. And to be honest, I think that goes back to expectations is if you don't have conviction on how you're going to help them, then there's really no hook. There's really nothing there, and there's nothing but no fruit there. Nothing will come into pass. I've seen it plenty of times with people in business. That's why most people in business don't make it, because they don't necessarily have conviction of their solution, conviction of their product. They don't necessarily are able to cast out that vision. And it needs to be concise. Use examples they can relate to. I mean, this is huge. Razor sharp points that personally compel them to move. If you don't implement these two concepts, then your presentation is pretty much pointless. But it does need to be a focus. Okay. So you have the child here reading the book. You have the older man reading the book. The younger child can express and present only at the capacity that that child can. And you all would agree that the older gentleman would be able to present a more compelling way of reading and helping us understand the concepts in that book out of pure experience. And you just can't fake the process. All this, guys, when you come to the presentations and you come all that, it comes to being professional. It comes to knowing your craft. It comes to knowing the facts. It comes to knowing the numbers. And if you don't know the numbers and you can't help someone genuinely, then the presentation ends up not being even something you should consider. And that's really a grassroots concept that I need y'all to understand. Okay, now, let's just say you mastered all that. You got it done. You had credibility, you had edification, you had all these great things. Now it's time to get the referral. And by the way, let me go ahead and backtrack a little bit. Now, when you're getting the referral, the process begins at the beginning of the presentation. I honestly, guys, when I go into a presentation, I really tell people, like, look, this is my craft, okay? I don't necessarily have to tell anyone my nuggets. I know the value of what I have, and you guys should know the value of what you have, and you shouldn't really express yourself unless it's deserved, to be honest, especially when it comes to business. Time is money. We all agree with that. And you know, there's a wise saying that says, don't cast your pearls before swine, lest they trample them before you. And I've wasted so much time, and I'm sure you all have wasted so much time because you're not setting up in the beginning the expectations. The expectation, I say, look, I'm doing this absolutely for free. I'm about to give you some knowledge, some understanding, insight into the industry that you've never heard of, some concepts that can honestly change your life if you really want to accept it and dig deep with me, something that can absolutely change your legacy financially. And you know what? If you want to take this seriously, I'll go ahead and present, but I'll tell you what, if I tell you exactly or give you a good presentation and give you these nuggets, and if you find value in it, all I ask in recompense is for a few people you prefer to help me expand my business, or maybe to help them in their personal portfolio, or maybe they know someone that could. And that's all I ask. And if they can come into agreement and I feel it and I have that gold lining, then I know it's the door is open to you having the presentation. If you're in a referral-based business, you shouldn't be doing a presentation without knowing you're going to get referrals in the business. Then you're not acting in a sense of having and being in a referral business. So you set the expectation, and as you're giving the presentation, as you're giving the knowledge, and you're pointing out key concepts they've never heard of, and you allow them to see, hey, I actually didn't know this. the magnitude of what you just showed me can change my life, can change my business, can change how much money I make. Each of you do something that creates a better benefit, can help them make more money, save more money, get more positives out of it. The negatives, that's what we do. And I'm continually reminding them as I'm going through the presentation. Remember what I asked you. This is the reason why I'm looking for a business partner. This is the reason why we need to help your friends and family. This is the reason, and you're giving them reasons, and it's compelling. Now we're at the end. Now we're at getting referrals, okay? Let's just say with me personally, whether I'm with a client or with a new business partner, we say, okay, you liked my work. It helped you tremendously. You agree that it could help your friends and family. Let's zone in on 5 people that we can consider who I can meet with. And they're like, okay, great. How do we do this, Kev? I would love to. I loved your business. I think it was fantastic. Well, we get on the phone or we have an email, whichever one's appropriate in the situation. I copy myself or they copy me in the text. They send it to the contact. Same thing with the email. They copy me in and they just introduce me and just tell the client of what good work I did and how these concepts are valuable, and they sincerely implore them to at least sit down for 30 minutes, no questions asked. And honestly, guys, if you love people and you care for people, and we all have people in our network that we have their back and we say we would die for them, or we say we'd pick them up in the middle of the night, and if your business really isn't that compelling to have someone give you a referral, then again, we have to refer back to step 1 on building the value of what you have. So continuing on with the process. Now we've unlocked that. They send the text. Because they sent it to them and they sent it to me, I now have a text message on my phone of an unopened text. And then I get 5 of them. And you know what, guys? Sometimes it's 10 or 15. So then I have all those darn texts and I don't really go into them until I'm ready to contact them. Okay, because I can see exactly what they're saying when it comes in. And that way I can keep track organically of when I called them and if I called them, and then obviously keep a track in Salesforce or whatever CRM you use to keep track of your business. But that's absolutely critical that they get in touch, you get in touch, they contact, you are already in the door. When you contact them, they already know what you're calling about. Hey, I'm looking forward to it. You did a great job for John. Man, he was so pumped up. I haven't seen that guy pumped up for years. You must have saved him a lot of money. Yeah, let me tell you about it. So got that. That's what you do, whether and at least in my business, for new business partners, when we're building their business, because it's a referral-based business, this is exactly the system, guys. Absolutely, hands down. So we have to be real. Referral-based businesses happen over time. They happen with how good you are. They happen with how much experience. You can't fake it. But check this out. A good name is to be chosen rather than great riches. Loving favor rather than silver and gold. So true. A good name will go such a long way. Guys, no one's ever questioned my intent because of my integrity. I might suck at my presentation. I might, whatever it is, I might suck at, but they don't question my integrity. They don't question my actions. They don't question my heart because they know who I am, and they should know who you are, okay? So to attract credible people, you yourself must be credible. I know it sounds simple, but that's really how it is. You better give quality work. The better quality work you give in your practice, the more likely you'll get clients that match that quality. And unfortunately, guys, if you're not getting the clients that you desire, the higher net worth clients you desire, the people that pay you for what you're worth, why is that? Well, honestly, it's because you don't necessarily believe you're not there yet. The more you believe in yourself, the more you believe in your product, the more time you put in your craft, the more genuine you become, the more you think about it, the more you have conviction over it. Obviously, you're going to become not only credible, but your sales will increase and your credibility will sustain. Your referrals will continue to grow. And then all of a sudden, there's a tipping point. And that tipping point is when people start calling you, and people start calling you and contacting you, and then you have a team of people to take care of, and then you have an agency. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and open it up for questions and discussion. Go ahead and take it over, Phil, and let's get talking.
Wow. Sorry, that was kind of a lot to take in. So, man, I get again for me it's just like that was lots to take in, and that was a lot of great information. For me, it is, I mean, and I'll use myself as an example because I'm in a weird niche. I'm in a weird niche where I deal with lawyers. Lawyers are hard to contact. Lawyers are hard to get referrals from. So what are the best steps you could give to really any of us, not necessarily just me, for like, if you could give me like three or four first steps to where in 1 week I would see a difference at least in what I do, or in it doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to get referrals right away, but what are action items that I can do starting Monday morning?
I love it. I love it. Oh my gosh. Okay. You got to think of your target market. You got to think, who is your clientele? And once you have a clear vision of who your clientele is, then you can zone in on who to call within your own personal network, your professional network, online, maybe cold call, because you just know that person's a candidate for your ideal market. But guys, you got to know your market. Once you know your market, you build that list, and then you just call that list. And every Monday morning, you should have that brand new list of prospects, and you should be achieving referrals through that. But that is one way that you can absolutely get referrals. And with the attorney aspect, I get it, man. Attorneys are just rough to work with. I totally get it. But the idea is that once it's compelling enough for them, and you're able to really show them how it's going to change their life. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I don't know, like with the internet business that you're in and generating leads, the idea is that they can get more leads. I mean, this is what I would do personally, dude. Check this out. This came off the top of the grill right here. I say, look, Mr. Lawyer, how is your business compared to Frank Azar? Oh my gosh, Frank Azar has way bigger than me. He has tons of lawyers. Let me ask you a question. Is it that he's better than you, or he just has a better business model than you? And just start asking questions and digging deep and getting that conviction. And that's the thing. You got to find out if the guy even cares about expanding. Does this guy even want more business? And that's the thing. I would ask him straight in the eyeball. Hey, brother, is getting more business important to you? How important is it? Okay. How much do you make per client? Okay. What if I can increase that, double that in this amount of time? Would that be of interest to you before I waste my breath? And then you're continuing on chipping the value. And as you're getting that value finally, and by the way, with lawyers, even with them, what I do is I make sure they know my time's valuable, because to be honest, people in my firm make a lot more money than a lawyer because they still have to show up. Now, Frank Azar still has built an agency, and God bless him, and that's great, but you know what I mean. But does that help a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. For sure. Yeah, I just
it could be a little bit rough, I know.
I have unmuted everybody, so please, by all means, don't let me be the only person here.
Yeah, ask some questions. I want to help you guys.
I have so many questions. I'm just trying to figure out how to word them.
I love it, Jessica.
Okay, well, here's a few while everyone else is thinking.
Look at it. Okay, I'm reading these right now.
How would you combat some of the on the fence objections? Like somebody who obviously wants to trust you, you did a great presentation, they have a few questions, and they're just kind of on that fence where they're like, I don't know if I should really move forward with this. How would you handle that situation?
Yeah, honestly, I would start back at the beginning, and you know, that's happened plenty of times. The idea is just, hey, if something didn't click, let's go ahead and start over. And if you remember, this is what we talked about, this is what I do, and this is kind of how I can help, and I would love to potentially do business with you. I think the idea is always to get to the root cause. Is it a trust issue? Is it a logical issue? Is it a business issue? What's the problem, and how can I answer it? But at the end of the day, I just want you to feel comfortable, and I want you to know I'm here to help. And if you can continue that, I believe that's the golden lining. that will ultimately land you guys, you know, together as a client at least one day, someday, if it's in the right, you know, the right.
Hey, Kevin, when do you think is pushing too hard for referrals? You know, like, because I want to talk to people and be like, who's your, I've had people push me really hard for referrals, and I tried to help them out, but there are certain times where people were trying to push their referral marketing on me very tough, and I didn't feel comfortable. How do you judge that, really?
Okay, well, first, I just make sure they know what I actually do, because most people won't refer you to people when they don't know exactly what you do, and if they don't have a clear idea of the benefits and the positive and negatives and how it would actually affect that a person in the short term and the long run. So if you can point out the actual benefits and then that good feeling of, wow, this does make sense, then that's when the gate is open where you can start asking for referrals. And that's what I really mean by the novice type. The novice type will kind of jump the gun, and they won't necessarily do what I literally just said, to open the gate to actually ask for referrals. Because for me, man, I usually don't ask for referrals unless I've done business or they really like the presentation and it makes sense. Usually if they don't become a client, I don't ask them for referrals unless it's for business. Because here's the thing, people describe your business and put off the same energy that they believe about your business. So if they're not gung-ho for your business, I don't really ask for referrals, because that's a weird feeling. And I don't like that. So I make sure the people are gung-ho first and they know first, and then I move that direction. When you go other than that, that's where all the weird feelings come, and it's awkward and you feel like it was pushed when you avoid that, you know, that route of going direction, you know?
All right, cool. Thanks, man.
I got a question for you. Can you hear me, first of all?
Yeah,
Russ. Clear. Okay.
You're good.
So I got a friend of mine that years ago was training to be a surgeon. And in medical school, in his final year, he has to give like a 2-hour presentation of, you know, anatomy, surgical procedures, all of that. And at the end of that presentation, these licensed surgeons who have, you know, been working for decades ask him questions purposely to throw him off base, to make it look like he doesn't know what he's talking about, okay? And I have a feeling that in your line of work, you run into similar kinds of people who try to do that to trip you up and see, just to see how much knowledge you really have. How do you overcome that, and how are you able to kind of anticipate that based on the type of people you're talking to?
Love it. Okay. So again, I know that's a great question. And you know what? In the beginning of my career, I know exactly what you're talking about. And I learned it comes back to that slide where I said edification. If they don't know who you are and they're doing that, that means they don't necessarily have a mutual respect for you. So the edification is, again, the other gate that you really need to open, that they need to understand that your time is valuable and that the information you have is valuable. So if that's done first and you focus on that, then the rest won't happen. Now, if it's a forced meeting and it's uncomfortable right away, I'm usually, you know, for me personally, I say, look, I'm actually here to help my partner. I'm training her. And if this isn't working out, I'm just trying to help. You know, sometimes it's like that because people are cynical, but that really doesn't happen anymore. It really happened in the beginning. So I say over time, as you get better and better and better, and it's set up better and better and better, that does go away. And that's the best advice I can give to that, because I know exactly what you mean, but it doesn't happen anymore because it's set up the right way.
Awesome.
I mean, does that make sense, Russ?
Yeah, it does. Another thing I was thinking of when you're talking about throwing the hook, you got to have bait on the hook in order to throw it.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Bait.
I love it. Bait on
Can
the
I
hook.
throw in 2 cents on that one?
Of course, please.
I've noticed a lot of people who are struggling with getting across what they do to people is a huge challenge with getting referrals. Like you were saying, you've got to be really clear in the beginning about what you do, how you can help, and why they would want to listen to you. And part of that challenge is that a lot of people don't understand that you're not selling the drill, you're selling the hole in the wall. So if you can determine what the hole in the wall is for a person, it's a lot easier to be clear and concise about what you do. So I do sales consulting. A lot of the times I tell them, what is the hole in the wall for you? Like, what are you actually selling to somebody? And it's easy to get a blurry idea of what you do. For example, Kevin, when you are telling people about money and like explaining to them how this can create their legacy, the legacy is the whole. The legacy is what they really want, right? So if you create that vision of the legacy, and like everyone's a little bit different, they might get to that end result, that end destination differently, but it's all the same hole in the wall at the end of the day.
Yeah, amen. Hallelujah.
I had something to kind of throw into that might be helpful for everybody here as far as starting a conversation. I call it the ambassador methodology. So one of the most difficult things when you're going after a cold niche, you know, whether locally or wherever, is they don't know you, and so they don't know, like, and trust you, which means they won't probably do business with you unless they feel they have something in common with you. So one of the easiest ways to start a conversation, especially if you're targeting like your local cities, like Phil, for instance, targeting specific kinds of lawyers, or, you know, you guys with your respective audiences, I would honestly recommend picking a couple of chambers of commerces and joining them as an ambassador, in kind of an ambassador-like role, and then going through their lists that they give you of businesses that haven't been engaged for a while in your target industry, things like that, and approaching those potential customers as an ambassador for the chamber to help them connect into the community, because that will start a conversation that will then allow them to get to know you, which then allows you, that also means you don't have to build a list from scratch. You can just stand on the shoulders of giants and use what the chamber gives you, because those chambers have spent a lot of time and money building up their list of partnerships. They have connections to the local city of businesses that have been established in different, you know, types of industries. So no matter who it is you're going after, that, in my opinion, is honestly the easiest way to start from scratch.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a good tip.
Thank you, Derek. That was awesome, dude. You dropped some jewels right there. I just picked that up.
Yeah, because a lot of people don't know where to start. It's hard to start a conversation with somebody that doesn't know you, so you need to create something in common with them. If you're in the chamber and they're in the chamber, or maybe they've been approached before, that's a much easier way to start a cold conversation. Hey, I want to talk to you about money. Hey, I want to talk to you about marketing. Hey, they don't know you. But if they got to know you a little bit over something different, they would start to trust you.
Yeah.
Hey, Kevin, let me jump in for a second here. Oh, can you hear me? Let me get a little bit closer to my mic. Let me jump in.
Yeah, Daniel.
Yeah, let me jump in for a second here. I do think, let me speak to something Derek said. The whole repetition over time equals trust kind of thing is definitely true. I went to a BNI for a year, and I didn't really have that much in common with these people. They didn't know how to refer me, but they still trust me because I showed up for a year. So in my business, I'm selling video. There's a few niches that I can specifically target. Real estate is one of those. That's not the most profitable niche. Weddings is a whole, if you're going to do weddings, you basically just have to do just weddings, or create a sub company, a sub brand that's specifically for weddings, because people who are shopping wedding videographers don't want to hear about anything else.
Have a landing page.
Right. And then kind of like the market is sort of like everybody else. And there's certain tactics that I can do, one of which is calling up event spaces and giving them my credentials as a videographer. But like sometimes I really don't, I feel like I'm being pulled in 15 different directions because I'm trying to reach like everybody, or, you know, pick out a certain niche, like, you know, technology or lawyers or doctors, or like, who am I selling video to? And that, I feel like that's different depending on what time of year it is, what city I'm living in, you know, who I'm talking to at that meeting, all those things. So I feel very difficult about, I have some difficulty specializing in a certain kind of, like I make just real estate videos. Well, then I meet somebody who wants a yoga video, or so, and Denver's not big enough for me to do just the specialization part, but I'm thinking through your process and I realize I have a lot more work to do, but these are all unanswered questions for me. Like, how do I do the market analysis segment and do the activity to a certain segment of the market? Does that even make sense? Or if I'm going to do a general shotgun approach, how does that even work? So those are my questions, if that makes any sense.
And I think this ties back into what Kevin was talking about. I love all this conversation, but going back into the building referrals, you know, Kevin, like when we have anything from what we have here at Great Minds, or you're involved in BNI, or you're involved in a chamber, you know, to me, like I'm looking for that process. That how do I connect with the people, like what to do step by step, you know? So Kevin, I'll kind of let you take over that again, because I just want you to reinforce that, you know.
Yeah, you know what? Man, let me see if I have I'm actually going to share my screen. Can you guys see it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm actually going to show you a cool little process that I always go to when I start lacking on where to go. So this is my personal business format system for our company, but so you understand, it really comes down to 6 steps, at least for ours. And honestly, you could plug this into yours, okay? So you really can. But this is literally the system here. You have 6 steps: prospecting, the approaching contact, the presentation, the follow-up, you know, the startup, duplication, just over and over and over again. And honestly, the referrals like should be throughout the whole process from beginning to end. And you have to really think about that process and then break it down and what does that mean. And again, if you can't prospect well and effectively, that's probably where you need to start. And then once you're effective at prospecting, then you can actually talk about the contact. And you know what, Daniel, we're talking about prospecting and finding your client. And as of right now, just in my head, I'm thinking you just need people who would actually pay for your service no matter who they are. And the idea is finding who is that market, and then maybe these guys on the internet side can help you drill some leads. But then you approach that prospect, you find that, you know, you contact them, you see if a presentation is even viable. And then in the contact phase, we're using, you know, Derek's idea of building that trust through affiliation, whether it's through the Chamber of Commerce or something particularly you guys related. At least in my company, in the presentation, you can either go a direction. So for you either go to sale or maybe you're expanding your business. And then you just continue that process. And again, I personally don't ask for referrals unless they become a client. Because again, I don't believe, you know, if someone doesn't really know what you do, it's kind of hard to accept referrals because they don't know how to introduce you. They don't know what the heck you do. And then that relationship, if it's, you know, not there, needs to start back from scratch. But yeah, if you really stick to this, Phil, just prospecting, okay, what do I do there? Approaching contact, presenting the company, how do I follow up? Where do we go? Duplicating, let me get referrals, and just going over and over again. What can I answer for you regarding at least our process at our company? I think that really is pretty good for everybody.
No, that helped. I like seeing this exact screen that you have on. Just the
yeah, it's actually pretty cool.
Wow.
And I love that. Yeah. It's like.
So yeah, if you have that and you really master it, man, you can really just take a step. And for me, because guys, I'm telling you, I'm nothing special. Like I used to think I was special, right? When I was in the W-2 world, I could totally kiss butt and get promoted and make good money working for somebody else. But when you really come down to a business and being of value to someone, and that's your paycheck, and you're not getting paid, you're thinking, man, I really got to figure this out. So I laid this out, and I literally like had to think, okay, I shouldn't even be doing anything else if I can't prospect. And then I'd master prospecting, and then I finally mastered the approach and contact, and I'd master the presentation. And honestly, and not until I really figured out each one of the steps and then became a master at each one, was I able to really move on to the next process and therefore ask for referrals. So again, it goes back to step one, where you need to work on your craft. If you're not good at what you do yet, it's okay. Just work on it, you know?
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess my question from there is, you know, if you're somebody like me who doesn't really have like this massive referral network, how much time, I mean, I know this is going to be different for every niche and every business, but like, how much time would you dedicate every single day as part of, you know, your daily process into creating this referral network? Because I just like, I see so much value from this, and this is what I want to do. I just like, I want to know, be like, do I spend half of my day doing this? I know it's going to be, I know there's no exact answer you can have, but
I'll tell you though, honestly, it depends on where you're at in your personal business and your sales cycle. If you know your sales cycle, that dictates really your confidence in your business on how you close. If you're really not a closer and you don't have that confidence level, then your level of closing and percentage go down. Therefore, your sales cycle extends. Therefore, you're not in a good place. So you got to focus on the skill. So what I would focus on referral based in a business is really dependent on where you're at in your pipeline and where you're at in your company in the sense of getting paid and how busy you are on those aspects. Because I've noticed that as I'm getting busier, I have tons of client meetings, I have tons of things going on, and I'm running this process. I've literally absorbed these steps, and it's a daily thing, to where as I'm sitting down with the client, I'm getting the referrals. As I'm sitting down with a new associate, I'm getting the referrals. As I'm sitting down with, you know, a prospect and I go through the financial strategy, I'm getting referrals. So my business and what I do, like, the referrals are in the pudding. The referrals are in the presentation. The referrals are in the financial strategy. The referrals are in the closing. So honestly, the referrals should be more of a part of your business, but in a sense of focusing on getting your sales up and pipeline, then yeah, you should focus 100% of your day getting business. You know what I mean? Does that make any sense?
Yeah, definitely.
You know, with building referrals, it's, if somebody's a complete newbie that has, you know, they just started their business, they're not really sure a lot about what we're talking about. The simplest thing is, if you want to create referrals, create rapport. Get really good at building rapport with people, and that takes time.
Oh, good. Oh, that's good.
People who like fail at sales, and this is just from a sales perspective, because, you know, it's intertwined in what we're talking about, but it's because they don't take the time and slow down to get to know the person, to ask the questions, to get to know their history, their background, to build the trust, and that takes time. If you're too eager and you move too quickly, that's where people don't trust you. And if you just think about it, it's empathy, right? Like, if you were to go to a store to go buy anything, I don't care what it is, maybe a laptop, like, think about the salesperson that approaches you. Do you want to feel like they're moving quickly? They're not answering your questions. They're not listening to what you really need, or they're kind of disregarding, not even taking into account who you are, what you're going to use it for. They didn't take the time to really be able to give you an accurate suggestion of what to purchase, right? So if you focus on, how can I have more empathy? How can I build rapport with people? And you can practice it in all of your relationships all day. Like, look online, how can I build rapport? How can I build trust with people? That is going to help build the skill of referrals without you needing to know all the psychology behind it. And then just putting in the time. I told Phil the other day, and I swear to God, I'm done after this sentence, after this concept. I spent 16 hours, 2 days, 2 full days, to reach out to every single person on my LinkedIn. And I realized, did that really take more time than I usually spend reaching out to people? Not really. I just did it more precisely with a better intent. I didn't try to sell anybody anything. I just started a conversation. And now I have 1,602 new connections that they understand I want to build a relationship with them. That is called rapport. That is what brings you sales.
Combine that
Those are
with
some
your
jewels. She just dropped some jewels.
Mic drop. That's it. I'm done. That's all you need. That's all you need to know. And then the things that you provided in this presentation, honestly, were great. Like, these are great tips for anybody who's trying to attract business and do it in a genuine way.
Amen.
Yeah.
Well, is there any more questions before Phil wraps it up?
Okay. If there are no more questions, then again, I want to bring up, first of all, Kevin, thank you, dude. You just like rocked my entire world.
Yeah, you rocked it, Kevin.
Thank you for answering what I thought was stupid questions. Were stupid questions, but as we talked about before, that those are things I've struggled with personally. And I think everybody here has learned, and this is recorded, and we are going to be posting this on the Great Minds website, denvergreatminds.com, correct, Jesse?
Yep, that's correct. Yep.
And, we're always looking for new members. There's different levels of membership for Denver Great Minds. And, Jesse, do you have anything more to say about that before we wrap up?
Just put it simply, head over to the website, check it out. Membership starts at $30 to be part of the online community. We are increasingly becoming really amazing at adding more workshops and online seminars onto the university portion. So there's these great topics just like this that we are adding to the university every day, every week. Some are paid, some are free, and they're all meant to help you at whatever level you are on in your business, starting a side hustle, or just have ambitious dreams to help you get there.
Thanks, Jessica. And I appreciate all of you guys for joining today. What a tremendous blessing. Please connect with us, and we'll see you next time.
Awesome. Bye, you guys. I'm out.
All right, guys.
Bye.
Have a great one. Thanks for joining.